Dr. Laura and I are splitting the talk today, which I think is so cool. It's fun to be able to give different sides of a similar theme. And so I want to start off by talking about New Year traditions. So if I could have my first picture of what New Year's traditions. So New Year's comes, and I think for many of us, we start wanting to get the intentions written. I got to change this. I got to fix that. I got to do this. I got to change up my whole life and make things different, right? Does the brain start to go and go and go? Yeah. Well, I'm the same way, but I've learned to stop that because intentions, doing the New Year's resolutions for me, as most people, they last maybe a month or two, and then they're like out of sight, out of mind. They're just gone. And I wrote a blog this week about that you can see on our website because there's a missing ingredient when we are doing this changing and resolutions and intention setting. Because our minds, if we let our minds do it all, then we're missing our heart. We're missing that desire. We're missing the fire of our soul in creating this new world or this new reality that we want to live into. And so for me, it's really important to move into the new year using my head and my heart, not just my head. And so I don't know if you guys have had good experiences with New Year's resolutions. How many of you out there have already started your list? Be honest. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just here to remind you to bring your heart in. I think it's great to figure out what we want to bring, what we want to up-level in the new year. So I think it's a fabulous New Year's tradition to go ahead and start dreaming into a bigger life for ourselves. It's just the heart needs to come in. And so my next slide is about Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I don't know how many of you know who he is. He's happening. He is really happening. He had an amazing life experience that started actually with a bicycle accident. Actually here in Palm Springs, he broke his back. And he was a chiropractor. It's really ironic. So he was a chiropractor, but he went to the doctors. They wanted to do all this surgery on him, and he just said, no way, I am not going to have that surgery because he knew that the prognosis wasn't going to be good. So he used his mind to heal himself. And he was just very brilliant. He is very brilliant. And he just figured out a way to do it through meditation and visualization. And so he teaches us that it isn't just about intention, but it's an elevated emotion. We have our clear intention, what it is you want, and you have your elevated emotion. And an elevated emotion that's like joy or love or excitement, things that really stir us up and make us feel alive. That's an elevated emotion. So when you bring the two together, your intentions are going to happen. And he tells the story of his son who had lost his job. He was really upset. He didn't know what to do, but he was a young man, and he really had big dreams. And so Dr. Joe Dispenza told his son, this is how you do it. He said, on one side of a piece of paper, you write, what are your intentions? And he said, okay, great, I want a high-paying job. I want to be able to travel wherever I go as part of my work. I want to be able to manage my own time. I want to have a lot of time off. Just everything and everything that was meaningful for him in a job. And then his dad said, this is the other half. On the other side of the page, write what that feels like. And so he tuned in. He said, okay, like joy and fun and excitement. And so wouldn't you know it, he sat with his list, and in the center that's about his job, so he put a J in the center. He looked at this visual thing that had his intentions and his feelings about it, and he just concentrated, meditated, and the universe worked things so beautifully for him. He was having a lot of rejection. He was applying for jobs, lots of rejections. He was a surfer. So he went to some surf store in Ventura, ended up meeting up with this guy that offered him his dream job. That's how that works. So we don't need to put so much mental energy and effort into creating our lives and making our intentions a reality. Use the balance of the mind and the heart and let the universe take care of the how. We've really got to trust that because the universe is intelligent, it is brilliant, and it's acting upon our frequency, on our vibe. So if I'm vibing high and in that energy of what my intention feels like to me, it's going to bring it in so exquisitely. And so my next slide is about, this is the beautiful work for us. I love this quote by Dispenza. Our work is to learn how to generate elevated emotions so we can access the heart's intelligence. And I'm in this with you. I get so attached to the outer world for my good and for my love and for my reinforcement. And that's the wrong way to go. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches us we have to learn to be self-generators of love. But how do we do that, right? How do we do that? When we're not in a state where we're feeling really good, it's hard to self-generate that. But it can be done. We can do it through meditating regularly. We can do it by taking beautiful walks out in nature, being with good people that we love. Anything that activates your heart, that's what we can do to start learning how to self-generate it. Because we have the ability to self-generate all of our emotions and all of our feelings. So the important work for us to do is to be able to do it on our own. Not that we're an island out here, but to really learn how to be those radiators of love by remembering who we are, right? When we remember who we are, when we've cleaned our mind out of all the garbage and the conditioning that's been weighing us down and blocking us from seeing this beautiful, amazing beings that we all are. When we do this, then we can become self-generators of these elevated emotions. And when we can do that, boy, look out, your life is going places. And my next slide is about commitment, because I know commitment is one of those things that falls apart with this whole intention setting game, right? We lose the commitment. We say, I don't want to go to the gym today, and 2 months later we haven't gone to the gym, or we're still smoking, or whatever. But when the heart is engaged, I think commitment is effortless. Because there's a joy, there's a drive, there's a fire. Something is just ignited deep within ourselves that is moving us. We don't have to think about it because it's such a generating, moving energy that it's very easy to fulfill our intentions because it feels good. That's why, right? When we're feeling really good, isn't it easy to fulfill commitments? It's when it doesn't feel good where we don't want to fulfill commitments. The other day, we were having dinner with Dr. James, and he was talking to the table. He's always asking questions, as you might imagine. And he said, who here wants to stop feeling like you have to work? And we were like kind of going, well, what do you mean by that? He said, when you have to do things, where there's that energy of I have to, obligation, he goes, who wants to just stop that and love what you're doing? And I really cued into that because it's about commitment. When you're really just desiring and it's fun and it's flowing and it's a joy to do, the commitment just happens because it's what you love. And my next slide is this, our talk title, Higher Love. So we talk about love a lot at this center. And yeah, there's love of me and you, there's love of friendship, there's love of son and daughter, there's love of everybody, right? But there's a higher love. We might call it divine love. And it's a love, I believe, that goes beyond this earth plane that we live on. It's an energy of love that lives inside of ourselves, and it's always there. And that, to me, is the higher love to set our intentions to live into. We really don't need to intend this, intend that. That's the secret. We don't really have to, but we do, because it's a good exercise and it creates growth. But really, underneath it all, it's going to a higher love. Because if you're living in that higher love of just seeing love everywhere inside you, around you, it is an energy that is going to bring love back. And I think that's what we really want. We really want to feel love consistently in our lives, right? We want to feel that it's always flowing, that we're always in it. And that's the highest love possible. And it's not dependent upon a relationship. It's not dependent upon a circumstance. It's not dependent upon your life looking a certain way. It's about feeling a certain way about who you are, your potential, the possibilities that exist, and your relationship with this entire universe and your oneness with it. And my next slide. So we think, this is from the song. Think about it. There must be a higher love, down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart, and I'll look inside of mine. And I love this little stanza of the song because I think we have these intuitions about life. and about who we are. I know when I walked into this center 20-some years ago, there was an intuition with what they were talking about. I'd never studied this philosophy, but there was just something I understood at this really deep level, like this song is saying. Hidden inside my heart was an understanding about who I was beyond just being this person who had experiences, who had connections in this plane. It's like there was a higher love, there was a higher wisdom that I was finally able to channel into because I was ready. And this is the higher love that is inside of all of us, that wants to be aroused, that wants to be awakened, that wants to be given an opportunity to lead us, to live through us, as us. This is the higher love to bring into our new year. And my next slide, oh, this little girl, the Cubist. Has anybody ever heard of the Cubist? You have? Oh my God. I was watching this show, a Sunday show, because I didn't do anything on Christmas, so I was watching the show, and this little, no, she's not a little girl, she's probably a teenager in her 20s, lives in Beverly Hills. She's 16, that's how old she is? Oh my gosh. So she arranges Rubik's Cubes, you remember those cubes? And she creates art out of it. And this is her art. It's incredible. And she's just a brilliant, brilliant child, just totally gifted and talented. And if you could put my next slide up there. My next one, yeah. So this is a heart that she did. So I was watching this interview, and the interviewer says to her, I've noticed, her first name's Nicole. She says, I noticed, Nicole, you have a lot of hearts in your studio. You make a lot of heart art. And she says, yeah. She goes, I want to remind people to do what they love. They need to do what they love. She does what she loves, and it's pretty extraordinary. But her message to people is, do what you love. Because really, honestly, it's time for us this year to stop doing what we don't love. It's not working for us, right? Is it working for you? It's not working for me either. And it's time to stop doing that and just do what we love. Because when we're doing what we love, we're in alignment with who we are. And Dr. James is going to be talking about this being the year of being who we are and living who we are. Because then we stop living as other people or who other people want us to be or what we think we're supposed to do. We're living from the heart and the soul. And if we're all doing that, do you know how incredible this world's going to be? If we're all doing what we love, bringing the love energy, we're going to raise that ceiling up of this collective consciousness to a much higher level. So it's time to do that this year. And my final slide is this, love only. So it all boils down to this. Love only. If we could just set that as our intention for this year, our resolution to love only, we're going to be in great shape. And I know sometimes it's hard to love only, but that's where our work begins. If we're not feeling love only, it's not about shame, it's not about spiritual bypass, it's about looking inside of you and saying, why don't I love only? And let the answers bubble up because they're there for you to see. We are meant to be balanced, loving beings. And for us to open ourselves up to say, I'm ready to see what stands in the way of love and do whatever I need to do in my consciousness to clear that up. Because you can clear up anything. Just to set that intention to say, I'm willing, I am ready to love only, and whatever I need to know that allows anything that needs to be cleared out of the way, I am ready to know that. That is a beautiful intention for all of us and all the world. Namaste.
Okay, and I've got to follow that. That was fabulous, Reverend Dale. I'm going to go a little different, although the heart thing is my thing for sure. But I was thinking about this the other day. Those of you look like some of you might be of my age in here. But I remember I was a junior in high school. Do you remember when 2001, A Space Odyssey came out? And, and Hal was talking to him. Now we have Siri and we have Alexis, and, and all of that. And I'm thinking where we have come these, remember when 2000 was coming? I was up with Neil Donald Walsh, and remember the fear around 2000. how all the computers were going to go down. And remember that fear that was going on? And I was up at Neil Donald Walsh's reporting. I don't remember who the two authors were, but they were talking about how we're going to have to live in communes, and share our crops. And because 2000 we were going to have to depend on each other. And I wrote this garbage for a day, and then we went to bed, and the next day I got up, and before we started, I said, because Neil Donald Walsh was there, wrote Conversations with God, and I don't remember who these people were, obviously not real bright. And I sat there, and I go, before we start, I said, I have to share something that's in my heart, because I said, isn't what we're studying and what we've been studying is we set the intention. We should be focusing on good. Why are we putting out fear into this world? And Neil looked at me and looked at them, and he goes, she's right. And they changed the whole concept of what they were writing. And, of course, the book never went out. And, I was supposed to be making money off of this book, but I didn't care. I didn't want the fear. And so we had nothing go wrong. 2000 came, and everything was fine. And so, like Reverend Dale's been talking about Joe Dispenza, I've been reading a lot of Greg Braden and listening to him on YouTube. He's got some great YouTubes. Can I have my slide? So this is a year to celebrate. Every year, every day, every moment is to celebrate. My next slide, please. So we are infused with what has been described as a special spark of a mysterious essence, eternally joining us with one another and with something beyond our physical world that we can't see. It is this spirit that sets us apart from all other forms of life on earth. And what I loved about this Greg Braden, because he has studied archaeology, he's a geologist, and and all of this, and they have found that there was a civilization that lived 200,000 years ago that had running water, heat, toilet, computer. They had what we had, and they also found that something came similar to an atom bomb that destroyed this civilization. Now, our DNA is not attached to that DNA. We really don't know where we came from, but there was this civilization. And so he's talking about how, and then he talked about the fact that if you took every space in between every little particle that's so tiny, that the universe would be the size of a pea. Is that friggin' crazy to even think about that? And each one of us, we are all so connected and we don't even know it. We are part, if you think about your body, every cell has a different, we don't want all the same cells or we wouldn't be able to operate. Each one of us is part of this universe. We came here with this divine purpose, and we're all attached. We are all connected. And so here we are. We've been this, in my lifetime, I can't remember a year where I felt that, you go, oh, I wish it was the old way. Everybody got along and so forth. Did we really, or were we just shoving it down? Were we just zipping it, not saying anything, and people feel like they can say now what they want? And that's okay, and they should be. We should be able to. We should be able to see the uniqueness and listen with an open heart to what they're seeing and what they're saying, not making them wrong, but is there something there for my heart to open up? And just to be that love. We need to be that love. That's what we came here for. And so I put this this slide because this year I learned all about quantum, well, not all about it, but I had more science this year than I've had since school. All right? And some of it was like, zip, and some of it like, oh. That's interesting. And I think it's interesting to know the science because that's what Ernest Holmes told us years ago. One day, science and religion would walk hand in hand. And now we're proving how powerful we are, how powerful our thoughts are, who we can be in this world. And I love what Dale said about setting what is it you want and to see it and to visualize it and to feel it and just to be that love, be that heart wherever you go. Because of my hip and everything, I could have gone on state disability, but I said, I want to be here. And the reason is I'm going to cry, is because there's so much love in this sanctuary. There's so much love here for everybody and how much I love everybody. And I feel Dr. Tom when I'm here. I feel Dr. Joe. I feel all of you. And that's what we want. We want to see that aspect of God in every person, how unique everybody is. And do things irritate me? Yeah, I hate to say they do sometimes, but I have to say, Laura, and I had Ho'oponopono, and Ho'oponopono says that when something bothers you or whatever, this is your opportunity to heal. That wouldn't bother you if there wasn't something within you that you need to look at and you need to heal. And so that's what this year is going to be about. That's what my dream, my wish for you is to just spread your love wherever you go. Be that love, see the uniqueness of every person and honor that uniqueness. What is it that you can maybe learn from them? And you don't need to force your opinions on them or whatever. You can just love them and, oh, that's interesting that you see that. You can walk away and go, wow, I don't understand that, but okay, that's fine. My next slide. So, destiny is no matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It's not a thing to be waited for, it is a thing to be achieved. All right, so that's what it is, not something that's a chance. And here's the thing, what I have learned in my 71 years of being on this planet is I don't believe there are accidents in the universe. I believe there's a divine reason for everything. It's an opportunity for me to show up, for me to learn, for me to be an example maybe for somebody else, but there are no accidents. And things at the time that I may have thought, oh my God, it was horrible. I look back on my life and I go, thank you. Thank you for being such a jerk, or I wouldn't have gone in this direction, or whatever. Or thank you for being so sweet to open my heart to see things differently. And so that's it. And I love what Dale said. And what we were talking about before we said, okay, how are we going to do a talk together? And I said, for this year, I love the science, and I think the science is good, but the heart, that's what you want to listen to. Don't listen to this because this will tell you all the negative stuff, the reasons why you shouldn't. What is your heart telling you? What is the direction your heart is telling you? This is where you should go. My next slide. Okay, so I don't know if you get messages from the universe. I've been getting them from years from Tut. And I love this one. Every problem, challenge, or issue that has shown up in your life with 3 questions. Are you ready to see things differently? Can you look at the world in your life and see it differently? Are you ready to live at a higher level, like Reverend Dale was talking about? Are you ready to really embrace who you are? And you are the divine. When Jesus said, I and the Father are one, he was talking about all of us. We are all that divine. We just don't remember it. It's time for us to remember it. And are you ready to know even greater joy? But you really only have to answer the first one. Are you ready to see things differently? Yes, right? So we need to see the world differently. So what we have here right now, what I see in the world is we have some people that see the world one way and we have other people that see the world the other way. We all need to see the world from a place of love and listen with our hearts. And then the next one, Gilmore. Is there a next one? Okay. So celebrate 2023. Give thanks that your life is exactly as it is. Decide that 2023 will be the happiest year of your life yet. And every day follow your heart and instincts down new paths. So just listen to your heart. That's where the power is. Yes, the science is wonderful and explains who we are and the power and so forth. But it's the heart. It's the heart that has the true power to create the life, the year, the day, the moment that you want to experience. Tap into that. Celebrate that in 2023. I love you dearly.